Hey everybody, it is Elsa932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. We are here again for another week of Somebody's Son. And Somebody's Son got on my nerves this episode, okay? Now, we only have two. We only have two, but this son got on my nerves this week. Woo, child. Actually, Aubrey should be joining me shortly. But of course, show the love in the chat. Say hello. Make sure you are liking, you are subscribed to this channel. And tomorrow, I have a live interview with Cam from Ready to Love Philadelphia, which I'm excited about, and I hope you are excited about. And if you have questions for Cam you'd like us to consider, that is not going to disclose what is happening or ask him things that may violate his NDA. There's a post on my community wall that you can certainly submit questions ahead of time. So let us get started. My guest is here. Hey, Aubrey. Glad to have you here this afternoon so we can talk about the son that got on my nerves.
Hello. Testing.
Yes,
1,
hey,
2,
I hear
3.
you. I hear you.
I can't hear you. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I can hear you. I'll remove you. Let me remove her from the stage and we can try again. Technical difficulties always happen. Yes, hey Debbie, glad to have you here. And yep, we are definitely excited for the Cam interview. Aubrey, can you hear me?
Yes, everything is working.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay.
Make sure, Aubrey, that you're streaming this to your platform as well.
Oh, thank you. Let me just do that right now. Thank you very, very much.
But yes, if you come through, just y'all say hello to us by hitting that like. Make sure you're subscribed and you have that notification bell checked so you can know exactly when we go live, and we're going to talk about people and their sons, okay? Because this son got on my nerves. We're going to end with him today because he got on my nerves. I'm sorry. I'm going to have somebody's son and their mama upset with me today. How are you, Aubrey?
I am well, but I feel the heat coming off of you, girl. And we're hundreds of miles away, but I feel the heat. What's got you so upset?
Oh, we gonna get to it. We gonna get to it. I felt like a mama was thrown under the bus, and I didn't like it. I was like, no, you didn't.
Yes.
It's looking kind of.
It's looking a little shady there for someone.
Ooh, shady is the least of it. As you say that, let me play this clip for a minute.
I hate to be shady unless I really have to. I hate to be.
I hate to be shady unless I really have to.
And by one of the most shadiest people on reality TV. That's funny. That is funny.
I saw that. I loved it. I absolutely love Phaedra's level of shade, and I will accept it. And yes, it did look shady today. What did you think, Aubrey, about this week's episode?
I thought it was a good episode. I saw some things that I was kind of looking for this episode. I saw what appeared to be genuine connections and genuine interest on, the dater side and the son side.
Awesome. Yeah, I did see that. I also saw delusional too. I also saw somebody may like me more than I like them.
Somebody that's living on the Lulu Island.
We love that island. That island, it's a special direction to get there. But it's no fault of their own. I think they're just excited to be there. And, they liking the sun, but I don't think the sun is reciprocating.
Yes. Yeah, I see that too. I do see that.
So why don't we start with, the son that did not get on my nerves this week?
Okay. All right, Sal. I bet I know who that is.
Let's start with Joshua and Uma.
Yeah. Joshua.
Did you guess right?
Yep, I did.
So The way we started off was Joshua and Shambrielle had a conversation. It's the first time they had, a time alone. And she said, "Hey, you kissed me, and then you dated someone else." And Joshua did the best player line. Joshua, I hope you do come interview on this channel, please. But that was a player line. Every time I hear Joshua, he gives me the player line. He's like, "It wasn't my decision though." But you didn't say if you were with the decision or not. What did you think?
Joshua, he knows what to say and what not to say. He's a smooth operator. Let's just say that.
He is. He knows exactly what to say to kind of, not get by. I'm not saying he's getting by, but he's giving you an honest answer. But it's an honest answer that's going to get him an excuse or a hall pass, not to be roasted about the decision.
Right. That is true. That is so true.
But Shambrielle did not let him up. She said, if you decided, would you have made the same decision? Shambrielle was on his neck.
Yes, she was. I think that's what he likes about her, too. I think that Joshua knows that Shambrielle is not someone to be played with, but she's fun. She's fun loving, but she's not a woman to be played with. And I think he kind of likes that about her.
I think he does. He likes, the tenacity. Welcome to those of you coming in the chat. I'm sorry, Shayna, that you think the show is boring. I am entertained. So maybe my level of entertainment is just a lower bar, but I am thoroughly entertained. But yes, Joshua went and he said he gonna blame his mama first. He gonna blame Uma first. This was not his decision. But yeah, he would not have changed the decision. So Shambrielle said he is a mystery, and she kind of like teetering on what do you do? Because all the women still don't know that Joshua is a free agent.
Right.
He is a free agent in the NFL.
NFL, right.
He's still a free agent if I checked 2 weeks ago. But, he is a mystery. He is given, he said he's given so much of himself, too much in the past. So he's withholding some because he's developed some trust issues. And trust is really big for him. What did you think about this part of the conversation?
I felt like he was opening up. I felt like he was being vulnerable. And that's what I was saying about we really need to see this vulnerability for the show to really kind of click and connect with us and be relatable. So I thought he was opening up. He did a good job of opening up to Shambrielle. And go ahead. You get to this part, the next part.
Right, because the title of this episode is Vulnerable AF. And they were, and Shambrielle opens up she opens all the way up and says she was raised by a single mom and, at 18, but most of her life, her dad was incarcerated, but he made it to her college graduation.
Yes. I thought
that was heavy.
It was heavy. It was really deep. Cause like, I always think I was a young mom and I was 21, but, 18, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine being that young.
Being that young and having the father of your child incarcerated for so many years.
Right. Exactly.
It's not that he, and I mean this in all, fairness. It's not like he didn't want to be there. It's that he couldn't be there. Yes, it may be due to actions of his own, but there's a subtle difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. There is a difference. And I think that's maybe where we get the no nonsense with Shambrielle, perhaps, is that she's had this life and she's had to motivate and push herself to get to this level of where she's educated and has a good paying job and a career. I think that's what I'm looking at. What do you think?
Yeah, I do see that. I see also that's why she has several jobs. She's an entrepreneur. She's doing all these things to make sure she's as successful as she can be. because probably she had to probably raise with a little less than she has now.
Yes, that's what I'm guessing.
Now he says in his past, and I can relate to this, with you, Joshua. In his past, he said what people like about him, they later resent about him. He said he's happy, he's free flowing, and I think what it is his banter may be seen as flirty when he may just be friendly. And I
Ah,
could see that in what we're seeing of him in the show. But again, he has to also toe the line that, being a successful athlete, you still have to keep some things kind of like behind the wall.
yes, yes, you do. And I would say, also being a professional athlete or anybody, let me say this, any man that is considered a catch, right? I think that at some point you have to really decide, and he sounds like he's getting there. You have to decide how serious you're going to be about dating. And if it's just recreational dating, casual dating, I think in a man in a situation that has a lot of money, has a lot of status, I think he has to be really honest and let the women know that, because otherwise you get into a lot of trouble. And then he also has to behave that way, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. He has to show his intention not by his words, but also by his actions.
Yes, exactly.
So she does agree with him. She's like, life is too short to be mad. And he goes and he loves how she tackles life. And he goes and he talks to Uma. He breaks down, hey, the date with Lexi was good, but he got some, deep conversation, and he loves Chambrielle's mind. And he thinks he needs to give her some alone time. So Uma says she loves Chambrielle's authentic energy.
Yes,
And I
I
think
think.
that it, yeah, go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, no, I was just gonna say I think she actually really does. Um, I don't know how to express this, but I feel like, and you tell me if you felt any part of this. I feel like with Joshua, I feel like he's a little surprised that he is as attracted to Chambrielle as he is. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I think that he, how can I say it? He placed Chambrielle in a certain category. I'm not saying it's derogatory at all. He placed her in a category, and Tamaris, he had that date with her, and then Lexi, he had that date, and he's finding, okay, these are two awesome ladies. Now he got to juggle a third. I think he
Mm-hmm.
kind of like put Chambrielle, okay, I gave her a kiss. We have some chemistry, but I really got some more time with the other two. Okay, but I think he's blown away by Chambrielle now leapfrogging ahead of the other two ladies.
Yeah, I do too. I think so too. I say this? I just love. I almost got emotional with this date with he had with Chambrielle. This conversation when she was talking about her parents and the life that she had growing up, and he said, "Let me hold you," and he took both her hands and he looked into her eyes. I just got emotional. I'm sorry. Excuse me for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understand how you could get emotional. Chambrielle was very vulnerable with him. Chambrielle told him, like, I think I think maybe she too could be surprised at how much she told him, because that was a lot. And I don't think we saw the entire conversation. We just
No.
saw three sentences, you
Right,
know.
right.
And I'm like, this has to be a much longer conversation for her to open up and for him to even notice and realize she needed his comfort by holding her hands.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that, like I said, this scene was really, really moving to me. That you didn't see any sense of judgment on his face, that he was accepting of this is her situation and this is what's built her into this woman that she is now. I really like that. I really like that from him.
You're right. I think Joshua saw it as, okay, these are the tough times that help carve her into who she is today. And I really liked it. Now, finally, Joshua, well, this is Joshua's second date in the house. Joshua's second date in the house is with Chambrielle, because Tamarisi went out with her. and Lexi was the massage date at the house, and now Chambrielle. They were sitting at the pool. They had their feet in. Food was between them, and he did playfully feed her. And she said she wants to know how far this show is in his real life, because she had a relationship where she did not align with the man's mom. And now here she is in a situation living with the mom and living with the dude. So Joshua tells her, hey, his ex, was 28 and his 23, drove him away from his family. So what did you think about that with Chambrielle? Like, hey, is your mama going to be this involved when we get out of here?
Right. That's a good point. I don't see Joshua, and this is just my take, just my opinion. I don't see Joshua as really being a mama's boy like that. I think that he makes his own decisions. I think he's very wise as a younger person to look to someone like his mother figure, to ask for her opinion, but then take all of that in consideration and still come up with his own decision, if that makes sense.
Yes, I do see that. And I do see Josh as able to navigate that relationship. Like, okay, mom, I hear you. But he has this jovial, playful mood that even if he doesn't listen, you're not too mad at him.
Right. That's it. That is exactly it.
He's learned to be playful. So Chicago Girl says, I need Owen to arrange more dates away from the house. I want them to be completely comfortable. Yeah, I would agree with that, because mama could be looking through the window. Any of the dates could be looking through the window. Put up some privacy partitions or something. Do the dates at a pool house around back so they can't be seen, but, it's on camera. Even if they don't see them then, they'll see them now.
Yeah, but being right there at the house, I'm in agreement with your chat. Being right there at the house, and the other two ladies are at the house, that's a little wild. I don't know how they get away with that, and that happens in our next situation that you're going to get into a little bit later. That happens, and it's really kind of wild.
Right. So, Joshua asked Chambrielle, what is your timeline? If after 4 years I don't propose, and Chambrielle was honest, she's like, I might be gone. I might be gone. Right. After 4 years,
I know that's right. I was thinking when it's funny he picked the number 4. I said, you know what? What are we still in college? Like, we're working our way up to our bachelor's degree, because the only way I'm sticking around for you for 4 years is we're stuck in the same school together and I can watch your movement. No, 4 years is way too long. It's of a young woman's life and her reproductive system to be taking 4 years for some guy, and you don't have no, too long.
Well, that's what Chambrielle said. She's like, what are we doing over these 4 years? She said she may stay if she knows what's his plan. How are we doing? Are we growing and building? Am I included in your future plan? And Joshua, I'm going to tell him the gift of gab. He was like, immediately, he's like, hey, I got properties. You into real estate. We can build together.
Yeah, I love the way she threw in. He was talking about Airbnb, and I love the way she threw in. Yeah, we can do commercial properties. Let's do commercial. And he was like, oh, I didn't know anything. I didn't even think about that. Yes. So yeah, she really kind of opened him up, I think, in that sense. But yeah, I like the way she was tactful enough to say, well, but what are we doing in the meantime in those 4 years? Are we building together? Because that's true. That's a very good point. I'm just saying, just between us ladies, there's no way. 4 years, there's no way.
Well, there's no way with no talk of marriage or no talk of intention.
Correct. I'm gonna say after college, after I hit 25, there's no way. Still, I'm sorry. No, for me, that's a personal thing. I don't believe in wasting time. I think a lot of women get very frustrated. They get to their mid-30s and they realize that they wasted time with this guy. Maybe you had 3 long-term relationships in your dating history, and you wasted 4 years over here and 5 years over there and 10 years. No.
Well, here's my timeline is, I'll do the 4 or the 5. But if after 2 years we aren't speaking marriage, or you have not brought up your intention of marriage, then I need to look both ways before I cross the road.
Okay. Okay.
Because
I can
it's
dig
gonna take
that.
me 2 years. It's gonna take me 2 years to even, like date and get back into the group with someone else for intention. So
Hmm.
yes, we can get married after 5 years or after four. But if after 2 years you aren't saying, hey, we need, let's talk about kids, let's talk about marriage. What does this look like? And if we can't,
Yes.
don't have that conversation after two, I'm
Yes.
like Chambrielle, I might be gone.
Yeah. I know I'd be gone, but it's so funny. I have a girlfriend, right? And one thing that I think gets her into trouble in her dating life, she's never been married before, right? And she's a seasoned woman, beautiful seasoned woman, very successful in her career and this, that, and the third. But I think the one thing that has gotten her in trouble for years now, and I've tried to talk to her about it, but it's her choice, is that she has this timeline of 1 year. We're going to date for 1 year, be exclusive for 1 year, and then I want to get married. And no one has met that threshold with her. And I don't know why that is. Like, they'll start talking about marriage like maybe 4 or 5 months into the relationship. But yeah, I think you can actually scare some men off with that, like that hard timeline. But I still have it in my head. Like, I don't know. If we haven't started talking about marriage, let's say, like you said, 2 years, I would say a year. Because any man that wants to marry a woman, I think he's going to know inside of a year that this is his gal. Again, I'm not talking about the people that are 23, 21, 18, 19. I'm not talking about those young people. I'm talking about us 25 and above.
But my thing with that is that, with your friend, or someone in that position, is he bringing it up on his own, or are you starting the conversation? You see, here's the thing. I like Chambrielle for what happens next, where she tells Joshua, hey, don't, hold yourself back. This is an experience for you too. She likes the woman too. She's like, hey, she's okay with being, but he has to do what is best for him, and
Oh,
don't hold
absolutely.
back. But she gonna watch. I am sure Shamriel gonna watch how he's moving, and he likes her confidence. But the same thing I was saying, like your friend and other ladies in that position, is watch. Yes, he can, watch what the man does. Don't be, don't tell him your line in the sand is a year. Watch him, pay attention.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because I don't know who, in the situation I was just giving you, for example, I don't know who brought up marriage. Um, yeah, that's a very good point. You're right because again, a man has to take some initiative. If you got a man that doesn't tell you what his intentions are after a period of time, I feel like, to me, if he's not telling me and showing me his intentions, I feel like he's playing, and I'm going to move accordingly.
Right. If he is not talking to you about marriage, or bringing up, or even showing you how you can blend with his family, he playing games. Now, welcome everyone who is coming in. Glad to see you all here. Please make sure you are liking, you are sharing, and you are subscribed to our channels. We appreciate you being here, even if it's in the bushes at your black job.
Hilarious. I'm, I'm trying to send something out to her now. That is hilarious. I love that.
But to end this, time and this segment, Joshua likes her confidence. She is covering ground. She is making him think. And as you said, Aubrey, he likes that mental stimulation, the pull and tug, and the fact that he could still be vulnerable with her. But she said, hey, she is choosing to stay in the moment, and that is her journey. What did you think, at the ending of their date?
I think I think that it was a good date overall. I feel like I think that she moved up significantly in his dating with her. I think that, like I said, it's a surprise. I don't know why. I think you and I were talking about this offline. I thought that she was going to be the front runner. I don't know why, but I just felt like it. I think maybe it's because of her maturity, her seriousness, but yet she's still playful. And she doesn't seem to be as bothered as the other two ladies about who he's going out with and who he's kissing. She doesn't seem to be as bothered.
No, she is not as bothered. And, that's why we have, Lexi, I'm sorry to say, being an immediate stepdad. That is what he is looking at. And with Tamaris, before she could actually talk to him, she already given him a cold shoulder. So the ladies are, not only is Chambrielle on her own merit jumping ahead, the other ladies are making it easier.
Yeah, that's true. That is true because Tamaris, I really felt like I don't understand why she made such a big deal about another woman in the house who's in competition with her, telling her that it just never crossed her mind that this person was embellishing or adding to the story or taking away from the story, or really wasn't the spirit and the tone in which he said whatever he said. I just didn't understand that. I thought that was kind of silly.
Now, Debbie is bringing up something. Chambrielle got the biggest expense total. Well, no, she didn't. She was in the middle, but it was a large amount for the
Mm-hmm.
expense total for self care, and that seemed to have gone away. That Josh ain't thinking about that.
Did you? Can I just say something? And I am straight, heterosexual female. But can I just say something? Chambrielle's skin is to die for. It is so
Absolutely.
beautiful, even tone, glistening. I don't know if she's using that baby oil that we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. I don't know, but she was glistening. I kind of understand the glistening part now. She was glistening. There was not a part on her body that was not moisturized. Okay, I
If
love that
she
for her. I
if
love
she's
that for her.
using it, she's using it as the manufacturer intended. Okay.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But she was glistening, and I just love her skin. It's so even toned. I mean, you can tell, like, whatever the money she's putting into her skin, it's working for her. It is working for her.
It absolutely is. Her self care is coming across the screen. So for me, something like that, like this, she's absolutely gorgeous, head on her shoulders, trying to just, move ahead in her career and her finances. I am like, what is the red flag? Why is she single in these Houston streets?
It's Houston.
Okay.
It's Houston.
I'm
I
just
mean,
asking. I'm
I'm
just
saying,
asking.
okay, but I'm saying it's Houston, and it's like saying Atlanta. It's like saying Chicago. It's like saying New York City. Wherever people have a lot of options, a lot of people, male and female, are going to get stuck focused in on that. I have so many options, and they're going to miss that window of opportunity, right? That's the way I feel. I feel like a lot of people, like you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're good looking, you got a good job, everybody's after you, male or female, right? And then you're going to slide into your
Right.
40s and your 50s, and then the opportunities and things are going to change a little bit, you see. But if you're in a major city, yeah, you got a lot of options. You're halfway decent looking. You got a professional job or any job. You're maintaining yourself. Like, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of options. And I think that's where the 20s and the 30s, where they kind of missed the boat. There are so many options. They can swipe left or right, up or down, that they just get inundated with all the options and things. People that they think are an option aren't even an option.
Now I'm going to guess the options are one thing. I'm going to guess to I wonder if Chambrielle also, is really about her career, about, getting where she
Yes.
needs to go. And that may be why she doesn't suffer fools. Okay. And as Lady T-Bug said, she may have her standards from the get go. And none of these gentlemen are meeting her standards.
That's a truth to that. There's a truth to that. And I love what you said in the beginning. You're right. Like, so when you're establishing your career, that can take a lot of your focus and your time away from something like dating to something that you feel is more of a serious investment at this moment in time, which would be your education and then your career, building your career. So yeah, I could see that. I definitely could see that.
Yeah, and I totally can see, her trying to, establish and not possibly figure she will, how can I say it, rely on a husband, though she will be supportive and he will support her. I think her thing is she wants to stand on her own 2 feet.
Yes. Yes. I can see that. I can definitely see that.
And Joshua appreciates that, and she ain't expecting him to fit the bill for self-care.
Yeah, because it was expensive. These ladies, it was very, very expensive.
So we have covered. Is there anything else you wish to talk about Joshua and Uma before we get to the next son?
No, I think we've covered it. That was a good job.
Okay, so the son that got on my nerves this week, okay? the son that got on my nerves this week. Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Chad. Okay, we're gonna get to the part where he got on my nerves. But we started with Chad and Paige were on their date, and oh, bless her heart, Paige is in the land of the Lulu, okay? She is so excited. She is having, a wonderful time. She is giddy in the car on the way to have gelato. They are outside for this date. Chad is outside for this date. And it's like, he's like, he lied to her. I'm sorry. He started off to me lying to her, saying he wanted to know more about her, And I'm like, but you wanted another person. You were upset when Mama chose Paige.
Yep.
Did I read that wrong?
No. I don't think I don't think he's interested in Paige at all.
I don't think he's interested, but he's trying to let her think so.
Well, I think let me look at it this way. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to force himself to give her a fair opportunity. He's being gracious and kind, but I don't think he's looking at it as if maybe he's leading her on. But he has no interest in that girl, none at all.
He has no interest, and yes, he's trying to be gracious and kind, but there's another way other than saying, he wanted to know more about her. It just felt so superficial, I guess, because we're on this end, and all I'm saying is, oh my gosh, poor Paige. She is just happy and giddy. But they get into the talk of love languages, where he says his is physical touch and words of affirmation, and Paige says hers is quality time, and she's just happy to have this quality time with him.
Mm-hmm.
But he does confirm that his mom has not been involved in his dating life, and he never introduced someone to her. And he tells Paige he didn't live with his mom at a certain age, and Paige recognizes this as a major item in his life. But he says he feels great about the date.
Yeah, I don't. In the moment that he's talking about his mother, what did you make of that? Because
I'll go to Johnny Cash. I hear a train coming round the bend. That's what I think of when he was talking about Miss Katina. I was like, there is an underlying reason as to why he was not living with her, and I don't know if he has dealt with it. Again, y'all, we are watching an edited show. This has no bearing on Katina or Chad. This is just what I'm seeing coming across from the camera. I'm thinking there is a reason he went to live with his dad, other than, what is it, Boys in the Hood, Trey, you're going to have to live with your daddy right now. Other than that,
I didn't get that from it. I could be wrong. There certainly might have been something going on that also went along with this. But what I felt like was, could it have been that when he reached, what was it, 7th grade, I think he said, as a young man, he needed a father figure. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't his mother single? Or did she remarry? Because I know something about she has more than just him as a child. There's some daughters, I think we found out the other day.
Yes, I don't know how many daughters she has, but we know it's plural.
Mm-hmm,
yes,
mm-hmm.
she has daughters after she had Chad, and he would come and I guess live with her summers or whatever their arrangement was. But yes,
right.
She said at the breakfast table that hanging with the young ladies is like hanging with her girls.
Right. So, but what I'm thinking is, again, going back to whether she was remarried or not, I think that his father and he, probably because he's the male child, and this man, if she was remarried, I'm going to say maybe if she was remarried, this man was not maybe wasn't the father figure that his father wanted for him. He wanted to be involved in his son's life. So that's a good time, like to send a child off and for him to go live with his father, because he's becoming a man, and it's not a whole lot that she can teach him about being a man that a man can't. Like his father can teach him better, is my opinion.
I understand. I agree. The father can teach him better. The father can, fill that role. And it is wonderful that his father has. I
Mm.
will certainly commend and say that. I just, the reason for it, if it is something other than what you're saying is just time for you to have that male influence, I don't know. It's just something nagging at me. And it could be, I don't know these people, and I
Hmm.
could be totally off base as well. But
He could have been
go
giving
ahead.
his mother, yeah, and I was gonna say it came to me too. I mean, and this is no, uh, again, we just see these people as Elsid has said, we just see them in an edited show. So I'm just giving opinions on what I've seen. It could be that maybe he and his mom were butting heads. Like I've raised a son and a daughter, and I think at a certain point in time in their development, it's usually the middle school years, maybe the first year of high school, you're gonna get some bumping of heads of the parent and the child, right? And I'm
Oh
thinking,
yeah, I have two boys.
right. So right, and I've only had one. I can just imagine. Sometimes it's the son, and sometimes it's the daughter.
Mm.
But but I'm just thinking that maybe if they were bumping heads, because he does. Here's the thing that I see, the dynamic I see right now on the screen. I feel like he has his own style, his own choices, and his mother seems to be a little bit overbearing in who she's trying to pick for him, and I don't think he really appreciates that.
Yeah, Manira, we gonna get to this comment. He doesn't like his mother that much, tolerates her around him, and he gets irritated with her, and he doesn't trust her decisions. We gonna get there. We gonna get there, Munira.
That's a very that's a very deep comment. I like that, Manira.
That
That's
Munira is in my head when I was watching the show. I had to stop at a certain point and not watch the show and gather myself. We'll get there. We'll get there.
okay.
So we find out that Jasmine didn't like that Paige got the date. Lauren says that she wants someone who's assertive and, in what they want. And when
Hmm.
Chad comes back, he and his mom, Katina, talk. He said he wants to see the vibe of the other woman, which clearly is like, I ain't feeling Paige, which he said before. And then he said, to me, he lied again and said he had not had any one-on-one time with any of the other women. Now, unless editing spliced, diced, and changed the timeline, we
Mm.
saw him one-on-one on the couch by the pool with Jasmine.
Yeah, true that. But maybe he meant a date. I don't know how that went down. But yeah, you're right. I thought when he said that was kind of odd too. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Unless editing spliced and diced it, which that is the star we will put on this. You've been having, what they call it, clandestine conversations with Jasmine, and her feet have been on your lap, sir. I'm sorry. How much closer do you want to get?
Ooh, he and Jasmine.
So Jasmine and Chad, they have the next morning, they have to figure out the espresso machine. And yes, I would also need a tutorial. That, it was a cute scene, but that is outside my color wheel. And we would have to order the coffee or just get, a regular Keurig or something. So Lauren said they need more time for us. She needs more time for a spark to build. And there was an awkward silence between Chad and Paige in that kitchen. And Paige picked up. She's like, he's acting weird. He
Yeah,
acting weird. She's
yeah.
side-eyeing him. So what did you think about that?
I thought that she kind of clocked it that he wasn't really as into her as he probably appeared to be while they were on the date together. I think she clocked that, and I think that's unfortunate, because if he was playing to be gracious and to give all the women an equal opportunity, I think he should have continued that next morning at the breakfast. Yeah.
Now, at breakfast, Lauren asked, Katina, what is she looking for in a daughter-in-law? And Miss Katina said, She wants someone with spirituality and who is not twerking at the club. And Chad says, family values, a woman at home who takes care of stuff.
Yeah, that was interesting when he said stuff. I was like, what stuff?
I mean, are we stuffing peppers and cooking it? What stuff are we talking about? And is the stuff only at home that we have to take care of?
Right.
And
right.
Lauren clocked it. She said, that ain't the woman here. Read the room, sir. You are not filled in a room of women who won't stay home and take care of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. That's right.
So
I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know what Chad was referring to when he said stuff. Does anybody know, if you're in the audience and you're watching on the replay, what do you think Chad was referring to when he said at home taking care of stuff? Did he mean children? Maybe. I don't know.
Hey, I mean, children have been called worse than stuff.
Yeah, they have.
So they moved on and said, what are you looking for in a mate? And Jasmine said someone to talk to be her safe space. Lauren said somebody to travel with. And this is where I heard the train coming round the bend. And I know I have heard folks say, oh, it's a wonderful, wonderful moment. It was so touching. When Chad turned to his mama and said, well, what are you looking for in a mate? I'm sorry, y'all. I felt in a tizzy for Miss Katina, and I guess she didn't feel that way, but I felt so. It's like, is he throwing her under the bus? We didn't even know Miss Katina wasn't married. We didn't even know that she doesn't have a mate. Right. Why is he putting his mama on Front Street? And then to say, oh, she doesn't have someone. And clearly her picker is off. And she's picking for me now. That's how I saw it. So let me mute my mic because I will keep on going. What do you think?
That is hilarious. I kind of thought maybe there was some shade in that comment, but I kind of also can relate to him. Maybe he was just really trying to figure out, what does she want? The thing that really stuck out in my mind though is I kept wondering to myself, is he kind of still upset about his dad and his mom not being together? Was she the one that filed for the divorce? Did his father file for the divorce? What was the dynamic when that happened, and who did what? Who filed for what divorce? And was it the mother maybe saying, okay, I've had enough of your father, whatever the father was doing, I don't know, and got a divorce and then married someone else, and that person was even not as good as Chad's dad in his mind. In
his child's mind being raised. But I was like, yo, we are here. This show is for you. Now you are trying to say the person who's picking for you don't have a mate, ain't been picking the right mate. I mean, that's how I got it. And I was like, I felt for Katina at the time. I'm like, I heard the horn of the train coming around the bend. And I was like, Chad, you could have turned it around, and I'm hoping it's editing. You could have turned it around and said, Mom, what are you looking for a mate for me? And not put her stuff on Front Street, because these ladies didn't need to know her business like that. I'm just saying, I didn't need to know her business like that.
Yeah, that's true. I thought it was interesting though that he said, well, you know what? You haven't answered the question. So he was very adamant about her answering that question. So I don't know. Like I said, and that's what I was telling you. I think there's a interesting power dynamic between Chad and his mom. And I don't think the problem with adult children is this: you're not going to ever win. No matter if you're the parent, you're not going to ever win, because they're going to do exactly what they want to do.
And for adult children, I'm speaking just for my adult children. My youngest is 18 now. Even though you adults, you ain't grown, you are legally an adult. It's no longer win for me. It's understood. I need you to understand what I'm saying. I need you to understand why I'm saying this now. If you decide, to still bungee jump without the harness, that's on you. But at least you understand what I'm trying to protect you from and the information I'm trying to give to you. But I'm like Munira, he threw her under the bus and like she ain't perfect. Her decisions ain't been perfect, and here she is trying to pick me a perfect person. I just felt. I just felt. I'm sorry. And even though Miss Katina, wasn't she told me about myself a little bit on the first recap. I felt for her. I was like, Mama,
Mm-hmm.
Mama, this, and I think she just wanted to share. And I'm hoping editing edit out her side eye, because I don't see her in what we have seen like letting that like go without a look.
Right, right, right. Well, and it's interesting because we're going to come to this, but I think what happens next week is going to be even more challenging. If that's
Oh yes.
if what they showed us is this next week coming up, I think it's going to be even more challenging because the way he spoke to his mom, um,
Hmm. Hmm.
it was a yeah, it was a little slick mouth.
We'll get to that. So Katina did answer. She says she wants a leader. She wants someone who's transparent. She's had to do it alone and she's had to figure it out. And Chad said yes, she deserves all of that, and he has learned something too. While he has learned, and Miss Katina got emotional about it, he said he'd never heard that answer. And I was like, you ever asked your mother? It's seeming to me in a lot of ways, and a lot of some of us as adults, do we go and even ask our parents these questions, or do we
Hmm.
assume based on our experience of the dynamic of the household?
I think most younger people would. I think it's not something you necessarily think about. Um, it took me a while as a young adult to figure out that parents are people and they have a lot of hopes and dreams outside of being moms and dads, right? And then to become one yourself, you have to recognize that. But I think that a lot of times when your children are, let's say, from 14 to 24, a lot of times they're so busy building their adult life, they don't really have time to question this or that about mom or dad unless it's right there in front of them. Unless you're the mom, let's say, for example, you're single and you're bringing in every Tom, Dick, and Harry into the home and introducing them as Uncle Bob and Uncle Tom and Uncle Dick, then they don't really think about it in that manner. If that makes sense.
It makes sense, and that's why in our first recap, the first three episodes when we met them, and I had concerns and I had questions about if Katina had other children that she raised and stayed with her,
Mm-hmm.
and were in that lived experience with her. But Chad would be visiting, and I know it doesn't sound quite right, but he's not there permanently, so
Right,
his
right.
experience of the situation may be different. And if she is, I'm being gracious here because I don't know her life. If she is divorced from her daughter's father as well now, and she is alone and been alone quite a while, he may be seeing this as, uh, what kind of decisions are you making with your life and now mine?
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could see him thinking like that. If the situation that we imagine that maybe that Chad's mom is now divorced a second time from her daughter's father. Yeah, I could imagine him kind of thinking something like that. Yes.
But then again, I give Chad the thing of youth. The young people always seem to think that they know better than the generation that came before them. Like we
Of
just fell off
course.
the tree after them. It's like Chad is giving me that too. It's like, oh no, I'm young. I ain't gonna make your mistakes. Thank you for telling me, but I'm gonna make this my way.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. I see that. I see that. What I got a question for you. What do you feel about the dynamic in the house between him and Lauren and Jasmine when they're all in the home together doing things like what do you feel like that dynamic is?
Oh, we jostling for position.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Oh yeah, because we coming up, and even though he has ticked me off, the next question was forgiveness. And
Mm-hmm.
Chad said something that put the alarm bell. Somebody pulled the alarm bell in the house because he said he got to get he gonna forgive, but he got to get his lick back. Everybody was like, "Ooh, wait a minute."
Right. That lick back, that was, I was trying to figure that out. Like, does he mean in his romantic relationships or all relationships? What is he referring to with that? What did you think?
I want to know, what is a lick back. What is considered a lick back? Before I go off the deep end with that, and he got to get a lick back. Well, what does a lick back look to you?
Yeah, well, I think, and you know what, that's a good point, because what is his version of it? I took it as a lick back is like somebody does you dirty or does you wrong, you're kind of getting back at them. You do something to kind of one up them, like,
So then you're intentionally hurting someone you profess to love.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure if he was talking about this in relationship to romantic, because I think later on he did try to change it up and say that it wasn't about romantic
Yeah, he did
relationships.
try to clean it up. He did
did
try to
try to,
clean it up.
right. He did try to clean it up. So I don't know what dear Chad, what he meant when he said what he said. I don't know. I just don't know.
But Paige was concerned. She saw that red flag going. Lauren said he's a Leo, and they play Get Back. Okay, no offense to any Leos. I know there are a few Leos. I know at least one Leo in the chat. Don't get mad. Chad said it's hard to show empathy, and it may make him feel better. But Miss Katina comes through for her son. He has a loud bark, but he's soft. He's a softie. And Jasmine ain't falling for it.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I was about to say. I don't think the ladies are falling for that. I think that's her perception of him. And once again, I will say this: I think just like children, adult or otherwise, can have a glamorized version of who their parent is. I think that parents oftentimes can have a real glamorized version of who their children are, and that's a hard thing not to do, because they're your children. You gave birth to them, you raised them, so of course you think they're nearly perfect, but they're not.
But as Benir is saying here, now if he has a hard time forgiving, I'm gonna take that all the way. Has he forgiven Katina, for him going to live with his dad?
That's so interesting, because we need some more information. We need to get her on here and interview her and find out, like, what was can she give us some details behind why he went to go live with his father and why not with her, and why just the visitation?
And it could be, as you said, a legitimate reason. This is the time for your father to imprint and raise you into the man you are becoming. But in a child's mind, they may not see it as such. So I'm wondering, if he not forgiven, but has he come to terms with that is how it was best for him to be raised? Has he come to terms? Is this his lick back? Because that's what I thought. Was that question about mate and putting your mama on Front Street your lick back at this table?
Right. I don't know. It's just, I don't know why he did that. Go figure. You know what? What if he's just awkward? How about that? What if he's just awkward?
Really? This is more than awkward. I have an awkward child here. I have an awkward child. Yeah, because he may say something. But he may say something, but I don't see the awkward. I see the awkwardness physically, but I don't see awkward in his words and stuff. I think he intentionally says some stuff. But I could definitely be wrong. Again, y'all, I do not know these people. This is an edited show.
Sounds like Lady T-Bug must be one of those Leos we were just talking about. Tell us, Lady T-Bug, you guys hold grudges? What? Yeah.
She said, we are petty like that. So yes, Lady T-Bug is admitting that she is a Leo, and Lauren is correct that Leos play Get Back. Now, I have a Leo mother, okay? And I can neither confirm nor deny, but I have witnessed, okay?
Yeah, I've had quite a few Leos in my life. It's either an Aries or a Leo that's going to be in my life. I mean, I can be in a crowded room full of men, and the one or two that I'm going to be attracted to inevitably are going to be an Aries, or they're going to be a Leo. That's fact. And I can pick them out, because it's that confidence that they have. It's that confidence that they exude, and they're generally speaking more or less understated. Now there are some. I know right now I've got a friend. He's a Leo. He's more overstated, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. I never really liked the pimpalicious guy. That's what I call men when they're just overstated. They're just kind of pimpalicious, walking around with all them rings on their hands and all of that
Yeah,
jewelry.
yeah.
Ugh.
Some like to be on display. The flower
Peacock.
always, well, the flower always opens and bloom in order to attract the bees. Okay.
I guess. But I thought that's supposed to be us. That's supposed to be the ladies, not the men.
Well, wait a minute. In the animal kingdom, there are some, like the peacock, as you
Peacock.
said, that put on the display to attract the mate. So, but I will say, I will say you are now in here, with an Aries woman. So now you have an Aries woman on the other side, live with you.
Yeah, I can pick them out. You guys are, and the thing I like about the Aries person is that they're very logically minded. They're very rational, and I can get down with that. I like that. I like that in a person. Just be logical. Don't be so flighty.
Right, exactly. Don't be flighty. But um Jasmine and Chad, he said he is gravitating to Jasmine to have time with her. She does ask about the lick back, and he said he feels a lick back is, someone doubting you and you've got to prove them wrong. And Chad, I am giving you a strong side eye.
Yeah, because that didn't have anything to do with what he just said. No, that didn't have anything to do with a lick back. What is he talking about?
That's why you got to define it. That's why you got to ask them to define it. What is this? And that's what Jasmine was trying to do. With Jasmine, I hope you side eyeing him. But Jasmine admits she is an overthinker, oversharer. She is sensitive. She needs crazy reassurance. She's salty about his first date. And I'm like, you're sounding like a stage 5 clinger, Jasmine.
Yes, she is. Excuse me. Yes, she is. She's sounding a little clingy there. And I think even though we'll get there, you're going to talk about the whole scene in the kitchen with the two ladies. And
yeah, he said it's hard to treat all the women the same, to find a balance. And he said Jasmine makes him feel balanced. It's easy to talk to her. She's very direct. And while the ladies are waiting, figuring out who's going to cook the burgers, is it going to be a team effort? How's dinner going to go down? Chad comes and asks Lauren on a date. Remember, this is the week where the gentleman has the choice. So Chad chooses Lauren for a date. And Jasmine's emotions are everywhere, she said. And she doesn't understand why she's crying for the camera. And I'm like, usually I would say because he's not that into you, because y'all meeting up after dark, yet he ain't dating you in the light. But this is the show. This is the show.
Careful now. This is not ready to love. This is not ready to love the resort season.
Right. That's immediately what I thought. When Lauren found out she had the date, Lauren, took a little teasing from the ladies, but she put her hand on his chest, and while she was walking away, let that hand rub right across his chest. Like, okay, you coming with me.
Yep, she did. She marked her territory for sure.
Her in her room was a robe and a rose for their spa date at the house. Okay, we ain't going outside. We at the house. And he signs it, the Chad. I don't know why the Chad, kind of twerked me. I was like, why are you the Chad? You're the only Chad in the house. But anyway.
Right.
He wants to get to know her better, because she's older than him. I'm like, why would you tell her that when y'all meet up? And she said 8 number, but they had same-sex masseuse. And I thought that was very interesting. What did you think about that?
I would have immediately, if not sooner, would have demanded that the man rub me.
Demanded? Go, please tell.
Yeah, no. I get massages, or I used to. And there's been maybe one woman that I felt like did it justice, but typically for me, it's a man. And it's maybe because I like it to be massaged. very firmly, right? So I feel like the men have the strength more so in their hands than the women do. So yeah, I would have preferred a woman, I mean a man massaging me. That would have been my preference. But I do see that, a lot of times people prefer same sex for obvious reasons. But me myself, I would have said, hey, let's switch. Let's swap it out.
Well, at the massage parlor I frequent, there's a young lady that is quite strong, and but I understand what you mean. I understand. I have had a male masseuse before, actually when I was expecting, and that was an experience, very, very, very good experience, because your body goes through all these changes. But I went when I moved. I found this young lady that's absolutely amazing. Um, so they do discuss this lick back. And he said there's a time to feel sorry for yourself, and then another, and then you have to pick yourself up. And she says his lack of empathy means he's judging, while she gives grace. This conversation, I feel, was a bad edit, splice, and dice, but I kind of get what they were going for. He say, hey, he gonna feel sorry for himself. I guess that's when he gonna do the lick back, and then he gonna pick himself up. But she does say his lack of empathy, could be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've said this twice this week with our other show with the Never Ever Mets. I think that he may be a little closed off emotionally. That's what I'm starting to sense about him. I think he may be a little closed off emotionally. And the thing about that is with men will be closed off emotionally and they'll be very open in the other aspects, like the physical aspects of dating, if that makes sense. So
Understood.
in other words, they want to get intimate, but it's not like you have their heart. So why are we getting intimate? We're just doing the do just to be doing the do. Okay, as long as we both understand that. But for women, oftentimes they want the emotional and the physical to connect. And I just feel like he's a little detached.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does come off a little detached. Um, and Lady T-Bug is agreeing that the Leos have a lack of empathy. They like to prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I
like
guess
what
that's
she
where
said. If you catch this next one, yeah, Ice King. He's given Ice King for me. Yes, absolutely.
he is. And it could be because he's been single for such a long time. He says that his last relationship that lasted only for a year, it ended 3.5 years ago. Now, if we're going 3.5 years ago, we're going to before COVID.
Yeah, that's another thing. I was like, well, wow, why so long for a man? Why so long for him?
Well, he was on lockdown by himself. I mean,
Okay. Oh, okay. We're in the midst of, yeah. But something else going on here. Something else is going on.
so she said Lauren does agree there's something there. He is handsome, but even though she says that she's sounding like a spark is the beginning, it's like they seem like they were chilling with friends, especially when they were sitting at the pool. They were talking. He was picking the lint out of the pillow and telling her she's so well spoken. She makes sense. She's beautiful. And his mom likes her. I don't know. It felt very, homey.
Yeah, yeah. Is Chad on the spectrum? Could Chad be on
I
the
don't
spectrum?
I don't know. It could be why you're saying awkward, but I don't like to
Yeah, no.
um
I know I'm sorry. It just kind of came out my mouth the same moment I was thinking it because it did just kind of open up a possibility. So I don't know. He may be neurodivergent, and us neurodivergent people, we are a little awkward. We are a little different from everybody else. We are, right? And sometimes, depending on if the spectrum is more or less, it could be a little bit. But I'm just wondering, and I don't know.
yeah, it could be that, along some of those lines, along that avenue or road, it could be I think he's also hyper aware of the cameras.
Yeah. Now that, oh yes. There you go. I definitely feel that. I definitely do. No, you're right. You're right. Some people get adjusted to them, and after a while, after filming for a day or two, you think you kind of get used to it, but he
He's
does
still
seem,
not used to it.
yeah, he's very, you're right. He does give that he's very hyper aware of it.
Right. Miss Boogie Down said he seems broken, bitter, but he until he gets help to express his emotions without lashing out, he is awkward. And it's the quiet kind of lash out for me, and maybe I'm overdoing it with Chad. It's the quiet, subtle lash out
It
I'm
is.
hyper aware of. But he does, he does keep his cool though in the next scene where Lauren and him are in the kitchen. They are talking. This is after their date, after they're relaxed from the massage. Jasmine walks in, and this is the right time, I guess, to start washing dishes behind them at the sink on the island. And she's washing them quite loudly. Stage 5 clinger behavior. She says, ain't no way they doing this to me. What, having a conversation in bright lights in the kitchen?
Right. I kept wondering, why isn't she leaving out of the room? But I don't know. I do not know, because I would have been gone. I would have been gone,
or I would have come in there. Everybody got a drink. How was y'all date? How was it? Because I talked about this with James, which we did not see this time. I'm not giving you more time alone with the person that we're supposed to be competing. Or I would have left y'all with a drink and like, oh, Chad, come and let me say goodnight to you before you turn in. Something like that. You could change the mood of the room with something like that rather than hitting the plates and everything and almost rubbing off the color off the plates.
Well, you're the one that keeps saying she's a stage 5 clinger, so you may be onto something. You just may be onto something.
She hasn't had a date with this man yet, and she is crying that he is going out on, I would say, supervised dates, because you could look out the louvers and see him. And you are crying over this. And you are having private time with him at the pool after hours, after the cameramen go to bed. You are having meetings with him, and you are crying that you don't get time with him.
Yeah, that's true.
And you say, I don't chase, I replace. No, what you do is sit in your room like Brandy, and you're crying. Oh, yeah. I did not like that. I did not like that. What did you think about the whole scene with Jasmine?
I think that, like you said, she just didn't show the maturity. And that was why the other young lady, Lauren basically said what she said, because you guys all caught the shade when she was talking about, being woman enough and being an adult and mature. She was kind of throwing shade, I felt like, on Jasmine for Jasmine being as young as she is, right?
Yes. She's mature and she would not embarrass herself or him.
And he had to, the funny thing about it, Chad had to say, excuse me, could you say that again? Because Chad was like, did you really say what I think? I guess he wanted to ask her, are you a Leo too?
I hear the trainer coming. It's coming around the bend. That's what I'm going to say every time I think Chad is being shady. Or do I need to go to my clip? Because I figured that was real shady boots of Chad. Let me play.
I hate to be shady unless I really have to. I hate
that was Chad for me. It was shady. Could you say that shady again? Loud so Jasmine could hear it in the back. Because with the water running, she ain't gonna hear it. Say that again, Lauren. Say it again.
That is so funny. But yeah, the two of them, like I said, it might be two double Leos there.
Maybe that's why Lauren knew that he would be he would be petty like that. So that was the episode, but we see some previews. We see some previews that Chad goes rock climbing, but he is afraid of heights. He doesn't say that he is afraid of heights.
He also doesn't know. He also doesn't know his left from his right. But go ahead.
I was going to leave that out. I wasn't going to be shady boots with him. But yes, the lady said your other left. So, Jasmine says again that she likes him. Jasmine, you are chasing. You said you don't chase, you replace. You are chasing. In this manner, you are chasing. So
Yep.
apparently there is a kiss in the house after a date. We just see the back of the lady. I'm gonna guess it's Jasmine because that's the
Mm-hmm.
last person he has to date. I'm just gonna guess, but we don't know. That's just a guess. And we're going to see James and his mom next week. Okay, we're going to see them next week, and there, Alicia tells Charlize, James's mom, that maybe she's being judged because of her nightlife job. And Charlize
Mm-hmm.
said nothing good comes out of clubbing. All money ain't good money.
She ain't wrong either. She ain't wrong.
Was there anything else with this episode or these previews that you wanted to share at actually, Aubrey?
No, I think we pretty much got it. I think that was it. Except, did you cover the fact that because you've been on Chad now for a minute. That Chad says something a little slick mouth to his mom was also in the highlights for the upcoming week.
I was going to save that for when he actually was slick. I was going to save it
Okay.
when I hear the entirety of the scene.
Yeah,
Already, as you said, I was on his neck this episode. So
right.
I'm going to give him the grace that Lauren says she gives. I'm going to give him this grace.
Yes.
And Chad, if you want to lick back, the best lick back for this channel, Chad, is to come on here and please do an interview. We would love it.
That we would. That because I want to know. I want to know what's going on with Mr. Chad. Mr. Chad, he's interesting though.
He is. I have to say he is interested. He is very interesting. He's hyper aware of the camera. All the sons here are interesting, and what I love about the show is the dynamics and relationship with their moms. None of them are the same, and none of the ladies are the same. So that's why I like this show. There ain't no drama. Nobody shaking the table. Nobody spilling a drink. The hardest thing we got is washing the dishes real loud.
Right. This is not the Never Ever Mets, guys. Just so you know, this is not the Never Ever Mets. Okay, not at all.
Good wholesome dating with your mama there. But we got I guess either 2 or 3 episodes left, and we got somebody supposed to be sneaking into the son's chambers, and we have not seen who that is yet.
And which
that
son?
Was in the previews, right? We don't know.
Which son? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be very interesting.
I need to check that preview and check the headboards and see which one matches, so I can make a healthy guess.
Okay. I Spy. Go ahead, Miss FBI.
Actually, Aubrey, tell the people what are you up to on your channel?
Oh, thank you. Yes. I am so happy to be here on Elsie's channel. She is a lovely ray of light. I love that we cover this Somebodysson every Tuesday about the same time. On Sundays right now, I'm covering the crazy Never Ever Met. Elsie is also on the panel, as well as JR, or Life is Reality, as he likes to call himself now. And we have a great time on Sunday about 6:00. We have a great time. So come on out and join us, guys.
Right. And thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Remember, tomorrow night, we are not doing unsolicited advice. What we have instead is our first interview here on LCID 932. It is with Cam from Ready to Love Philadelphia. Yes. Y'all know, I keep saying it's Philly. I keep saying in my recap, it is Philly. And I'm so happy that he has decided to grace our channel. And Just Rhonda01 was in the chat. And tonight at 8:00, she is premiering her interview with Hussein from the same Ready to Love Philadelphia. So please go to Just Rhonda01 as well tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern and check out her premiere of her interview with Hussein. But again, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. EST, Cam is in the building. I'm excited for that. I can't wait. My first interview, and I'll be just as bubbly, if not, we got some questions we need answered, but within the NDA.
Right. That is gonna be fun because I think he's an interesting guy. So I'm looking forward to it as well. So I plan to be in attendance tomorrow evening. What time is it again?
It is 6 p.m. EST. It is the link is already in the live section of this channel. So you
Okay.
should certainly put your notification on so you know exactly when we go live. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for also streaming this on your platform, actually, Aubrey. And y'all, make sure you are subscribed to both channels. I appreciate you all, and I will see you on the next one.